This episode brought to you by Appy Couple, the most stylish way to share your wedding. You choose your design, then tell your story. Add and edit photos of your life together from the beginning.
Choose your tribe, your maids, and men. Lay out all the events and details to organize everyone easily.
When, where, childcare, weather, and how to get there.
Your guests can join in on the website and your very own app. From reading your stories to adding their own photos. And of course, you have veto power.
They can get all the event details to the ones that they are invited to. They can also start and join conversations. They can find links to your registries.
Available for Apple and Android devices. Go to fromringtoveil.com/appy. That's fromringtoveil.com/appy. I'm Shannon.
And I'm Kim.
And you are listening to From Ring to Veil,
a wedding planning podcast,
where we share tips and information to help you plan the wedding of your dreams.
Without all the stress.
Taking your modern wedding to the next level. Episode number 81.
In this episode, we give you lots of ideas on how to create a modern wedding, from super modern to whimsical modern.
Modern weddings don't have to be stark, plain, and industrial, although they could be.
Yes.
They can be warm, inviting, and beautiful.
We have a ton of ideas to share with you, and hopefully we can get through them without confusing you.
Because, they kind of combine styles with other things, and so.
Because you can absolutely put a twist on modern.
Right. And you can do modern anywhere. Mm-hmm. Just like our Kicked Up Barn Wedding show.
Right.
You can make a barn modern.
Exactly.
Because it's an empty blank space.
That's right.
Anyway.
Let's start with the, more minimalistic, modern, like when you think of modern, let's start with that.
So minimalistic modern is clean lines, minimal decor. It's very simple. Think of maybe one stem of orchid hanging out of a vase or something like that. And then it's all clean lines, squares, round arcs or things like that. So,
right. Very pared down. Right. It's just, very simple. Kind of like Ikea. That's what, when I think of modern, I think of Ikea.
I don't.
It's very, if you look, well, now, actually now their catalog is kind of morphed. It's not necessarily like it used to be.
I know, that's why I don't.
Like the old Ikea used to be. When you looked at that and you think, oh wow, that's very European, very modern, very minimalistic. The old Ikea, I should say.
Not the Americanized Ikea.
That's
right. Everything gets Americanized. Anyway.
So, some ideas for this minimalistic modern style. You can use your space or your venue as a basis for your floral decor and lighting. Let's say they have a big wall of gray or something. That's like your backdrop. You don't even have to do anything else to it.
Right. So if it's a warehouse space, use the rafters, use the beams, use the walls and the concrete and the rebar or whatever it is, the ducts even.
Right.
Just bring that all into your decor. Bring in, also these ceilings are usually always high. So you bring down the ceiling to make it more intimate. You can do hanging things, lights or floral or greenery. Those are some ideas.
All kinds of hanging things,
Hanging things.
We like that kind of stuff. Loft spaces with exposed bricks. Use as a backdrop for a ceremony. Minimal decor or floral will, you just don't need much.
Right.
You just really very artistically, and what's the other word I'm thinking of? Not too harsh, not too much, just kind of
and
softly.
integrate it. Use that wall as your basis for your decor. Because it's also, if it's an old wall, there's usually mortar sticking out. The bricks aren't all, uniform and things like that. So you can use that and make it a little bit more homey, more intimate. Bring your, and if it's a loft space, it's going to be probably a little bit smaller. So you're going to be, more close together. And also the ceilings are probably going to be high as well. as, again, bring things down.
Right. Right. So that's kind of your minimalistic modern. Sometimes there's another one called mid-century modern, and I know I know you like that a lot. And it's also very clean and smooth and
lots of wood.
Yeah, wood.
Lots of wood grain.
Wood grain and angles. Square tiered cakes instead of the nice round ones. You've got more square tiers.
And they're smooth.
And they're very smooth. So I assume they use the
fondant.
Fondant is what they say.
I'm Texas girl. I say fondant.
On Cake Boss, he says fondant. So yeah, I mean, so it's very smooth, and it's usually one color or a couple of colors, but not stripes and polka dots and all that. I mean, it's just very clean. Really, is like the only word I can think of with angles.
Right. And use sleek, low centerpieces. Use the square vases. Line them up if you're doing long tables or something like that. Line them up from end to end. Put candles and maybe one flower and, alternate them. That's one of my favorite things to do. It's simple. It's kind of inexpensive.
Very modern.
Right. And very minimal. Candles and one flower in each vase. Heck. That's great. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's very pretty. And it's kind of romantic.
Candlelight makes anything better.
Yes. and that's one of our other suggestions. More candlelight than flowers. I mean, if we're saying that, that's the modern thing.
Right. I love candlelight. I always tell my brides, use candlelight. Here in the summer, it's kind of hard because it doesn't get dark until like 10:30.
Right.
So if your ceremony's outside or something, you can't really have candlelight.
That glowy look.
Right. But candlelight inside a loft or a warehouse space, because you're going to get that soft light coming in from the large windows. And then the candlelight will just enhance it.
Right.
Make it feel cozy.
Right. So you're kind of pulling out the coolness by warming it up a little bit.
Right.
It really kind of softens it and makes it more romantic.
If you are using flowers, use the modern type of the architectural flowers. Anthuriums, callas, orchids. Orchids always have, or Phalaenopsis orchids always have that nice arc line to them. And they're usually clean and bright colors, or the white is very stark.
They're not very wild looking.
No.
They're very structured looking.
They're very structured. Even cymbidiums, they're kind of the larger stemmed ones, but they're all placed kind of symmetrically kind of on the stem. So it's neat to have. Calla lilies are my favorite architectural flower because you can bend them.
Right.
And they'll stay that way. You can warm them up with your hands and you can bend them this way and they'll bend and they'll stay that way. They also go toward the light, so you kind of need to keep them kind of in the dark if you're going to try to bend them one way. But you can bend them in square vases, so they're not sticking out. They're inside.
Oh, yeah. Lots and lots of things you could probably do with that. So, yeah, like you said, if you are using floral, use that kind of thing. Geometric designs. Now, we're seeing this is becoming a hotter, trendier type thing with these geometric cubes and shapes and
pentagons.
All kinds. And 3Ds, they're like a box, but, in a geometric design.
Right.
And they're just really fun right now. I mean, I've looked at a lot of pictures. And by the way, we've set up a Pinterest page, and I will link to it on the show notes so that you can kind of see what we're talking about. I know it's hard to visualize things. So at least this way, you'll get to see some things that we're talking about.
And color is very minimal. You can either do color two ways. You can use the color that's in the space and kind of enhance it and keep it in that same tone. Or you can do the opposite of the color wheel from, like, say, the walls are gray. Go with something orange or some bright color yellow or something like that to enhance the space, but also kind of contrast.
Right. You can also do only metallic colors. That's a really good one for moderns. We
love the metallics now. The copper, the rose gold.
Yes.
The gunmetal. The gunmetal's really getting me right now.
Well, and silver and gold too. I mean, you just throw all of them in there and it just becomes very modern. And you could, like, let's say the two colors that you pick for your whole wedding scheme, gold and silver, or gray and copper. I mean, they all work together like that.
And like we said, use what you have in that space, which fits a lot of concrete. Mm-hmm. Try to find something that's similar to it in your table design and your decor.
Right. You can even do black and white wedding. Mm-hmm. That is like very classy look, just by itself. Right. But putting that in modern, I saw some pictures and I was like, yes, that is awesome. All right, so next let's bring in the less minimalistic modern style. Think a kicked up Ikea, maybe the more modern Ikea. Ikea.
I don't.
So with this. Yes, you have that modern kind of stark, kind of all the angles and clean and all that. But now you're bringing in texture with it. Mm. So, yes, you're getting texture from your mid-century wood stuff if you bring that stuff into your wedding. Mm. But you can also bring it in with fabrics, different types of floral, tablecloth, things like that. Just bring in some texture.
You can also have, for your ceremony, an arbor, say, and it's a clean line arbor. Maybe it's made out of copper. Mm-hmm. And then you have not necessarily fabric, but maybe something else hanging off of it that makes it that clean line where you can follow the line of the arbor, like maybe ribbon or beading or something like that follows. You make it to a clean line where you pull it, in this
straight and geometric type looking things. Yes,
it's hard to explain when I don't have a picture.
No draping, like you don't want to hang.
You don't want billows of fabric.
Billows. That's what you don't want, because that really is not modern at all, and it just doesn't look right in a modern setting. I don't think
everything needs to be kind of clean, even if it's an arc. Even if it's like an arc, it still needs to be clean.
Right. And I found a good one, and it's on our Pinterest page. It's just like, it's an arbor. It's basically a big square, or rectangle, whatever. And it was bare. And then there was a floral piece in one corner and a floral piece opposite of it on the other side. And it looked awesome. I mean, it was like, because it's still clean.
Right.
But there's a little floral pop there. And that's bringing in the texture. Use big, bold colors. Now you can, instead of just keeping it black and white or just doing the metallics.
Right. Do chartreuse.
Yeah.
Do tangerine.
Yeah, something fun, That will just kind of, it warms up the coldness of the modern from what I can see. Oh, curves. Now you can use curves. So instead of keeping everything very geometric and angled, now you have more curves. Like you have, like you said, an arch, or
the calla lilies in an arch.
Yes.
Or your orchids.
Maybe your chairs now have the oval backs instead of a square back.
And you're using round tables in a square space.
Yes, exactly. So you're bringing curves into it, and it's less minimalistic. It's more.
I've seen, because we look at Pinterest all the time.
Yes.
Because we try to get ideas for our brides and things like that and keep our Pinterest page up to date with new things. I've seen a lot of, lately, they've had a lot of floral on them, but I'm thinking just, it's a complete circle as their arbor.
Yes.
And some of them are covered with flowers, but I'm thinking something in a wood or, a metal or something, and just having something hanging down from the middle of it. I would love that.
That's very modern.
Right.
And it's really pretty. I saw that too. You can also start using lots of layers. So let's say you've got your place settings, and you've got a placemat of one shape, and then you've got a plate of another shape, and then you've got your menu, and then you've got your, I don't know, napkin, so you're using different shapes and layering them, even on your cake. Instead of having just square, 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 you have a square, a round, and another shape. You're bringing more layers into it.
Also, you can layer textures as
That's
well.
right.
Bamboo for your placemat, maybe, or your charger type thing, and then you can go up from there. I love texture in everything.
Yes.
So.
Well, I don't think the Minimalistic's dark modern is
Well, no, this is the kicked up.
Yeah.
This is not the Minimalistic.
Exactly. I'm saying that's not you for you.
Yeah.
So this one is more, I don't know, it just makes it softer. It makes it warmer. It makes it more inviting for me in any way. You can use stripes now. I wouldn't say polka dots.
No.
That's a little too much.
And chevron's really out, so you don't want to use chevron anymore. Chevron's old.
But stripes.
Yeah, I love awning stripes. I've always loved stripes ever since I was a little kid.
I don't think I'd use checker.
No.
That's a little
too picnicky, kitschy. But stripes, you can either lay them because it gives you that image of being long lines or clean lines. Either ever which way you put, maybe use it in a runner. Don't necessarily use it as your main tablecloth.
That might be too much.
Yeah. So,
but you could also bring stripes into your backdrop, walls, things like that.
Yeah, or geometric shapes in the backdrop.
Even your bridesmaids' dresses.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get really fun with it. So now we're moving into the more edgy mix with a modern twist thing. So I was looking at some edgy, quote unquote, edgy modern weddings where it's all very modern looking, and then the bride has like a leather jacket on, or her bouquet is really wild. So just bring a little edge into it. So it's not all stark, clean lines, everything just very modern. Now you've got an element of wild to it.
Cool.
I thought that was really neat. And if we could ever do that, I would love to do it. I think that'd be awesome.
You can also do it with the whimsical theme.
Right. All kinds of themes, of course.
Right. All kinds of themes. But I found two, and I could not find the picture anymore, and it made me so angry when I was looking at last night, when I was doing the show notes. They were two architects getting married, and they printed blueprints on blue table runners. And so it ran along the length of the table. And then in their centerpieces, it was architectural tool implements like compasses and protractors and pencils and things like that in their flowers. And the flowers were kind of architectural as well. They were all like arcs and, in vases and things like that with these other things. And so it was so cute. And I can't find that picture. I'm going to have to look it up again. But
we'll look again and try to find it and pin it on the Pinterest page. But I want to see it because I think that's really cute. Especially if you're both in the same line of work,
I know.
Cool
Isn't that awesome?
You could do that with anything any line of work that you do. If both of you do that, you can incorporate that into your wedding. And also, like, again, with what comes to mind is football and the Seahawks, of course, or, whomever that you guys are. You could always bring an element of that into your wedding if you want that. And you could do it into a modern wedding too. But go ahead.
If Kim would tell you, I've been making a face over here. Anyway. Also, if you're both tech people, I've seen this really cute one where they, like we said before, we use the cube vases and things like that. And they put different colored lights in the bottom of the vases, so everything's a different color, like greens and blues and purples, and it looks like a circuit board kind of. I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah,
that is cool. And I just like that idea anyway. You could do that you could pick one color even, and not do multiple colors. So right now, we are gearing up for the Christmas season with my husband's company. We're doing Christmas lights. And so I'm looking at all these different color Christmas lights, and it's really bringing ideas into the wedding stuff too. Now that you're saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, you could do Christmas light strings and of all kinds of colors.
Well, they also have those submersibles that come in different colors too. And so, you just put them at the bottom of the vase. You can cover them with water. If you don't want, and put a candle on top or beads on top. You don't even have to have anything in the vase. Just something on top of that to kind of disperse the light. And they're really awesome. I love using the submersibles.
So many good ideas. I'm thinking if we could just do a styled shoot for each one of these, that'd be pretty fun. But then again,
Style shoots cost too much money.
We'd be bankrupt.
Yeah.
Because we'd want to do too much. Anyway, so that's our take on the modern wedding, and hopefully you've learned something and heard something that you didn't think of, and maybe you'll visit our Pinterest page and see what we're talking about. If you had a modern wedding, or if you're having a modern wedding, what are you doing? What did you do? Did we miss something? Let us know, because we would like to post that feedback or talk about the feedback on the next show or two.
Email us at info@fromringtoveil.com or hashtag FromRingToVeil on Twitter or Instagram.
Don't miss a show. Subscribe to From Ring to Veil anywhere you listen to podcasts and leave us a review.
Until next time, no stress, no worries, keep calm and listen on. Thank you for listening to our podcast. You can find us on Facebook, From Ring to Veil, on Twitter @FromRingToVeil, and on our website, FromRingToVeil.com.
Music provided by bensound.com.